Okay.
Otherwise, I'll miss my window for a year.
Sure. Okay. Okay. So we're going to get started here. In short, we went to main and we added into main a set of parameters, and I want to go through them again because they came out in kind of fits and starts. So the first of them is duration of latency. This has a duration of 3 weeks. The next is duration of infectiousness, which has which again is a time of 1 week. Another is duration of immunity, which is of length 270 days. Maybe we should change that to 9 months. What do you think? 9 months? 9 months. Okay. 9 months. Contact rate 1 per day. That's a rate transition. Transmission probability 0.5. So that's on a per contact basis. There's a certain probability per discordant contact, per contact between a susceptible and infected. There's a certain probability of transmission. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like now to go back to person. And we're going to put in place some additional mechanisms. So we're going to start with completing latency. Okay. Completing latency is going to be a timeout transition with a time given by the duration of latency. Now, where does duration of latency live in the model? It's in main. So what do we have to say if we want to refer to that parameter in main? What do we have to say? Main dot, and then we have to say duration of latency, right? Boom.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
What's the difference between main dot and get main dot?
So those would be the same. Yeah. You could do get main's the older way of doing it. Main dot is just a convenient way to do it.
Do you have to? So you never have to use get. You can always just drop it.
Not quite, but 95%, 98% of times, I think.
Oh, in the main versus get main?
Yeah. I almost never use get main anymore.
Me too.
Yeah.
So what do you have to use get for then?
It's like get main or get city or that sort of stuff.
So you don't have to use get main, but you have to.
That was just one. So basically, I have a function called get main, and it's like a proper Java function, and that's what it's always been. But they sort of made it a little bit. They made the language a little bit better, and so they basically just made main do the same thing, I think, as get main. At any rate, that particular function is just main instead of get main. But all other get functions, that's you still have to do get. Whatever the name of the function is, you got to do that.
Yeah. It's just if you want to.
Like get X, Y.
When we say get main or main, we're talking about when this agent is embedded in one or more levels of context. To what degree do you need to call get in the name of that level of context, like get city, get main, whatever? Or to what degree could you use main dot or city dot? That's what this discussion is very specifically about. There's tons of other cases where you have to say get this, get that, get X, get connected agents, whatever, and those are all the same. Those are unaffected by this. Okay, now, Kurt, this is going to have a significant implication, so I want to make sure that I understand the fullness of the Krugerian exploration. So this duration of latency, that's in weeks. Can I really just leave this as years?
You've already specified a time for that variable.
Precisely.
I think you have to specify the other one where you specify the time units.
So you have to specify weeks here. So it has to be consistent.
Nope. You could do main dot duration of latency and use the time units to convert it to a year.
Sure. Okay, but I could also just say weeks and just do that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to do that way.
But the point is, either way, you have to take into account what it's in already. Is that right? No.
Yes.
Wait a minute. So
unless you translate it.
Okay, so how would you do the translation?
Do the control space.
Yeah. dot control space?
No, just control space there. So you can give it a time unit.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you just type in.
Okay.
You just type in.
Okay. Okay. And I just type in.
Capital year. Control space. There you go.
Okay, that's nice because that doesn't. Then I don't have to worry what was it specified in weeks or months. How if it changes, it'll still work.
Yeah.
There is hope in the new generation.
If you don't do that, so you guys all know that this duration of latency is specified in weeks, right? So it's going to be 3.5, let's say. 3.5 is going to be 3.5 weeks. But that number is just 3.5. So when it comes into that, if it says years, I think what happens is it comes in as 3.5 and it gets read as 3.5 years. Right?
If you just did, if you just did that,
yeah.
it would say, "Oh, it's 3.5," and
Which
so I'll
is
just.
3.5. You specified it as weeks, but it doesn't know that you specified it as weeks. So it's a bit of a weakness. I'll give you a few minutes. Or you can put a bracket on there and you can type the name of the unit, and then whatever it was in weeks before, so 3.5 weeks, it'll convert that to whatever that unit is. So you could write milliseconds, and it'll say 3.5 weeks in milliseconds, or you can write years or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so in short, this converts whatever it is in now, it converts it to years.
And the years at the end, does that mean nothing anymore?
No, so it does, so what you do.
So this is a function call.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, no, so it's converted, you want these two to match.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's visible. Like, so now when you look at it, you immediately know that the number main.duration latency year is in years. You don't have to go back and see how you specified it.
Awesome, yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah, it's really
Okay, thank you for the, explication, Kurt, that was great.
Anytime I have the smallest bit of information the name doesn't already have, I use it to my full extent.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to recovering now. Okay, and this too will be a timeout, and the timeout will be given by main.duration of what? Infectiousness, and we need to convert that to what? Well, to whatever time unit is here. So we're going to convert it to year. Okay, great. Okay. Okay. Next we're going to go to waning of immunity and do the same. This is going to be a timeout, and its actual values can be read from where? Duration of immunity in main. And we're going to convert it to what? To year. And it's going to be that in years. Okay. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to, the plot thickens.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Can.
Effective to recovery, which, do you know the recovery, which word we use?
Infection to recovery,
Yeah.
duration of infectiousness.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Does anyone else want me to cover? So we just did 3. Now the infection one, there's some pieces of this where the plot is going to thicken. And one of them is for infection, and another is for the transmission process. Okay. Now, for infection, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to actually have 2 pathways. Okay? This is a very common pattern. So, what I'd like you to do for this one, and I sit remiss for not having told you earlier, but we're going to need to insert something that I don't think we've used before, but which is an exceedingly powerful and useful construct, and that is a branch. A branch, ladies and gentlemen. And the branch comes from the state chart palette. Okay? So we're going to insert that. I'm going to frob this a little bit so we have a bit of room. And I'm going to go like that, and then we're going to insert a transition from here to there. Okay, so it's going to look like this, but we're going to clean it up a bit. So what did I do? Just at the rough mechanics, I dragged in a branch. Kurt, by the way, maybe you could prepare for discrete event modeling this afternoon. Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks. I dragged in this branch thing, and a branch represents a conditional transition. Under some conditions it will go this way, some it will go that way. Okay? And there's this branch into it that's I'm going to call exposure. It reflects exposure to pathogen. I'm going to show the name. And then, based on that exposure, what dichotomous outcome could you imagine? So if I'm susceptible and I get exposed, so someone coughs next to me, what possible outcomes could come out of that? Either some people don't get infected, some people do. Okay, but exposure, we're going to make this a message transition. Okay? Are we okay with that? Well, no, we're going to fix those up. There should only be one. Okay? And this will be on a particular message. Right now, we're going to leave this here. We're going to come back to it in just a minute. Okay. Now, infection will occur with what probability? So if you go to this infection, this one down here, it'll be based on a condition, and that condition will flip a coin. And the way that we flip a coin, ladies and gentlemen, in any logic, mark my words, I often see this not realized by students, and they do it in a painful alternative way that is anti-recommended by several features.
You should show that way.
Oh man. So RandomTrue. This is a Bernoulli trial, ladies and gentlemen. We're flipping a coin, a weighted coin. And we have to give RandomTrue a probability that it will return true. So RandomTrue, you notice how I did this. You can actually read the documentation. Generates true with a given probability p. Sounds like a Bernoulli trial. Flip. So this is how I did it. I did autocomplete. Autocomplete is a better friend than you even knew. You control this, and then if you select each of these, you could see I'm selecting with my mouse. With my keys, and you can read about these things. Do you see that? Do you see that?
On the Mac, it's different. On the Mac.
Okay.
It's option.
Yeah, I do. It has been looking private now, it's stopping.
It could be a little bit finicky when there are a whole bunch of things of that name or what have you.
You've got another option in your iPad as well. I've got triggered by condition, and then you've got something about that learning.
No, I've been using it, but sadly it just stopped.
Yeah, sometimes that happens, unfortunately. Basically, the way to get around is to.
Okay.
Now since I've got
You could just close this here.
Okay.
That's because you switched.
We're not done with this block of work yet. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen. So for RandomTrue, what would the probability be? So a susceptible has been exposed to pathogen. What's the probability that they'll get infected? The transmission probability in main. So we'll have main dot probability. Main dot. What do we call it? Transmission probability. So notice, ladies and gentlemen, I turned this into a condition. So I said here, it's not the default, it's the condition. Kurt, would you mind obtaining the microphone over there? We'll see if it fares any better here. Alan, it's in the locked cabinet just beneath the black monolith. Okay, so random, yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you. So this is what I put down. This random true, it just flips a weighted coin with the probability that coin will turn up heads. Thank you, being given by this. And if it turns up heads, the condition will be true, and people will go this way. Otherwise, they will go on the default, which is the dotted path. Are we okay with that?
I've got a different default.
What do you mean by a different default?
The dotted arrow that you've got there is my default.
Yeah, yeah, it's the default here too. Yeah, yeah.
When you go on the infection one,
This guy here. You need to set this to condition.
yeah, but I don't.
On hers, once she's selected one as the default, she doesn't have that option on any of the other branches. It's always just a condition. They're actually, the little radio button for default is not there.
Well,
Because my dotted arrow that goes through my branch as well.
Yes, you're only allowed one default, and then all the other ones you don't have that choice.
Yeah, only one default is present. The default is the one if the others are not true. You could have many conditions, and if all of them are not true, it'll check each one in turn. If all of them are not true, it'll go via the default. Okay? This is the default here. Okay? Okay. Remain susceptible. Okay? I'll just call this remains susceptible. Remains susceptible.
Yep, that's true.
Okay, there we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So that's one route.
Hey, can you just look at the infection transition one more time?
Sure.
There you go. Okay,
So that's a message.
this one.
This one here. This one here.
So Kurt, can I stop it?
Yeah, is the message a particular message?
No, I said we're going to come back to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just reverse that.
And then go
Okay.
on a particular message just for now.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce to you a best practice. Okay? Okay. So does anyone else need TA help? I'm going to select a best practice now, show a best practice. We are going to actually have multiple messages in this model. Okay? And we'll see why in just a minute. We're going to have multiple messages in the model. I'm going to use it to teach a lesson. But in the interest of time, I'm going to introduce the route to a solution, open the path to a solution right now. We're going to insert an option list that will be called messages. This is a very fruitful modeling pattern. Messages. And in that option list, what does an option list do? Does anyone remember? Yeah, it gives you a set of possibilities, and it's very important. Any logic knows to check those possibilities to make sure you're using one of them, or what have you. Make sure you've handled them, and make sure you spelled it correctly and everything. So it's useful. And this message is going to be called natural infection. Natural infection. Okay? That's the name of the message. We're going to have multiple messages which so we need to give them names. Now we could give them a string, but the problem is a string can be mistyped. Sometimes you spell it with a capital I, other times you forget, and you spell it with a lowercase, sometimes you put an exclamation point, other times you forget. It's inconsistent, and it's not going to help you. It's not going to force you to do it consistently. With these messages, we can get lots of help. So let's go to this transition. And ladies and gentlemen, this exposure transition, this will be based if the message is natural infection.
Nate,
Yes.
can you show me how do you do the option list? How do you create the option list?
I did new option list, and I called it messages, and then I called it natural infection. Infection.
We got
Oh,
it.
the exposure.
But you only had one.
Okay, natural infection. Okay, who needs TA help? Are we okay with that? Okay. Now, what final immediate thing needs to be put into place? What's missing? What's the glaring omission? What's the key glaring omission here? There's a couple ones actually, but there's a big glaring one. This is, I'll give you a hint, this is a communicable disease. This is supposed to be a communicable disease. Where is the communication of the disease? Where is the communication of the illness? Where should it be? Yeah, so I'm hearing some good thoughts. What needs to be going on if there's communication, if there's transmission of infection? This is receipt of infection. What's the other part of that? Getting them infected. So do you remember this from yesterday? We needed an internal transition. Do you remember that? So we had to insert a internal transition here. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And that was called contact. Contact. And it's at a certain rate. And what is the contact rate? Can anyone remember where it lives? Main dot contact rate. Man, are you good? It's main dot contact rate. Okay. Now, is that all? No. Well. Okay. Actually, good call. Good call. Good call. The units need to be consistent. So this is per day rate, right? It's per day, and yeah, if we want to be really careful, we could say per day. Yeah, convert it to per day. So that would lend us the freedom to specify it in whatever unit, the units of our choosing, and then it would convert it to per day units here. Okay, but what else is missing here? How if this went off 1,000,000 times a day? Would anything happen? No. Something needs to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Something needs to happen. We need to send a message, and to whom? Whither will that be sent? Yes. This dot. Man, you're good. You're good. Send to random connected. What is sent to random neighbor? Turns out that's for space. We send it to our neighbors in a grid. Sorry? So this is for the contact transition.
So why are we doing per day for this one when, regardless of the time frame we had in May, we were doing year, and now we're doing per day?
Yeah, you're right. I prefer to think about contacts on occurring per day. But let me be very clear. I could have changed this to be per year, and which case, as long as this said per year, I would have been perfectly fine.
And why is it now per year when before it was just year?
Because it's a rate.
Contact rate.
It's a contact rate. It's a certain frequency of contact. To be clear, as long as these two are consistent, it's perfectly fine. I just in terms of how we think about it, I find it more natural to think about contacts per day, particularly for sneezing and such, where the number of sneezes per year would be large. Then again, if you were thinking about needle sharing contacts with discrete individuals, maybe think about them on a per year basis. Or sexual partnerships or something. Maybe think about those 3 per year. Makes sense. Whatever.
I think the goal here-
Okay, sorry. I guess I'm not in touch with the young generation. Wipe that grin off your face.
I just wanted to say, like, if conceivably, if you do all these units right, then the units of the model shouldn't actually change the predictions the model makes.
Right.
The
Correct.
speed that it
Correct.
runs might be different because if it's going.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
No. The speed won't be different.
Okay, well.
It's.
No, it should have to do more change.
Well, sorry.
There has to be more changes if you specify it on.
Yeah.
No, but be clear, this is just a yardstick. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a very, very small value if it's per year. It's going to be a larger value if it's per day. But the actual timing of the events is going to be the same. I mean,
Same
the
amount.
density of the events is going to be the same, and that's what dictates the work.
Yeah, and then another thing that might sort of influence the units that you choose depends on your data. So if you-
That's correct. Totally.
So if your data tells you, if your data is recorded on an aggregate yearly averages or something, well, you're going to use year per year.
Yeah.
Even if they're things that sort of make sense on the per day basis.
That's right.
So whatever your
That's
data
right.
says, and that's what you put in it.
That's right. That's right.
To add a unit set.
What?
Is there a way to add a unit set like per quarter or something?
Oh, is there a way to add a unit set? That's a good question. I don't.
No, I'm not aware of. That would be really sweet. But unfortunately, it's not something which is currently there. That would be very nice. Then again, there's a case to be made that while other things are changing quickly, units tend to change less quickly. But I guess I could imagine like adding in like Australian dollar as a unit, right, or something like that, or
I mean, like for an example, if you're cycling through like a 3-month cycle.
Yeah, right, quarter.
Yeah.
Quarter. Yeah, good call. Good call. Yeah, you're right about that. It could be useful. That would be really nice, and that would be something from a software engineering standpoint would be very eminently doable. It's just trying to get any logic to do it would. They're going to have to triage it with their other things. Okay, so we're going to send to a random connected, and what message will we send? We're going to send naturally we're going to set exposed, excuse me. Oh gosh. Oh no. I named it terribly. Sorry, folks. Sorry, mea culpa. I stand before you remiss. Sorry, folks. I shouldn't have called it natural infection. That's a horrible name. It should be called natural exposure.
How dare you name?
Gosh, sorry, I failed you. So sorry. Let's go back to the option list. This is a mistake up with which I will not put. So this should be called natural exposure. Sorry, it's not infection. Why? Because it might not even be received by someone who's susceptible, and if it is received, it's not necessarily going to infect them. So that's a distortion of the most egregious, most flagrant sort. And that's a type of thing up with which I will not put for my students, and I will not put up with it for myself. That doesn't sound right.
Neither option is
Okay. Natural exposure, it's called now. And now when we send the message, it will be called natural exposure. Okay? Okay. Natural exposure. Okay, great. Okay, now, if we run the model, will we see infection occurring?
Sorry, can I ask a question? Can I have a look at your main and whatever the variable is called contact rate?
Contact rate. 1 per day?
1 per day. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
If it's got an initial infected.
Exactly. We don't have an initial infective. Now, Kurt showed you a way to do this yesterday, which involved what? Involved a clicking. Remember that? Do you remember a clicking on the things? Yeah. I think the contingent from Griffiths remembers that. Remember clicking and it wasn't working? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go down to, we're going to put in place another route for transmission. And to do that, we're going to go to our messages, and we're going to say another message will be called force infection, which is a rather unnatural sort of exposure. Okay? It's going to be, we're going to cause one person in the population to initially get exposed. Okay? Great. Okay. Okay. So that's good. And I want to, yeah, force infection. Okay? Great. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go look at something quickly. I just want to see, and forgive me. I remember I derived an elegant way to do this before. Okay, great. Okay, and I want to make sure that we, okay, deliver, oh gosh, okay, send. Yes, there it is, beautiful. Oh boy, no, you don't want to do that. Okay, we'll have to do it another way. Oh man, if only Dylan were there to see that. I got a request from someone to do it in a more sophisticated way. That was at PHEC. Okay, yeah, no, we don't want to do that. I'll just have to figure out how to do it now. Okay, fine. So, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to go and we're going to put in place an initial infective. So we're going to go, having gone to messages and having put in place force infection, we're going to go over and create an alternative transition from susceptible to exposed. And that transition will be called force initial infection. And what sort of trigger will it be? Anyone want to guess? A message. And it'll be on a particular message. In which particular message? Force infection. There we go. And now we're going to send a person force infection messages. Why wouldn't we just send them natural exposure messages? Because they might not get infected from them. Good. Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, we're going to show this name. This will be force initial infection. And this one, oh man. Whoa. Okay. There we go. Okay. Great. Now, the Krugerian method involved clicking on a person.
Well, can you just get back to that?
Sure. Yeah?
So where did the transaction go on?
It whence it came as susceptible and whither it went as exposed. And it's a message transition on a particular message, and the particular message is force infection. Are we okay? Okay. Now we just have to send that message. Okay? Yeah. Okay? So I'm going through my mind about the best way to do it. And I've come up with an option, and I don't like it very much, but it will do. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to go to main, go down main, and I'd like to introduce into main an event. And this is going to be called initial infection event. And it's going to go off at time 0. Now, you can do this in many ways. You can have an initial infection event be imposed in many ways. But this way is particularly transparent because it's very clear that there's an event there for it. And now we are going to cause an initial infection to occur. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick a random city, and within that random city I'm going to pick a random person, and I'm going to infect them. Okay? I don't like that. In fact, I really don't like it. Alan, would you mind getting me a napkin? Thank you. Actually, I've got something here. Thank you. I was distressed enough that I still, Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to pick a random city, and then we're going to pick from that city a random person. So city, we'll call it city to inoculate. Okay, and it's going to be, how do we draw a random city from the set of all cities? Does anyone remember? Random from. Yeah, I think there's actually another way to do it. You can do even this. Take a look at this. Cities.random. That's pretty sweet, isn't it? And in fact, I'm even tempted to abbreviate this further. I'll just show you 2 ways to do it, and you can decide which fits your aesthetic needs. City to inoculate dot city population dot random. Okay, and we want to do, actually, yes, excuse me, no, we could just do it this way. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, deliver, city to inoculate dot deliver to random to random agent inside, and it's going to be, what's the message we're going to deliver? Force infection. Okay, so force infection. There we go. Now this was a bit wordy.
Yes, in that case you are.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I could do it all in one line with this. Like this. Boom. Oops. So you might want to just do it in one line like that.
Cities.random, right? Yeah. It's that thing that always exists. Yeah, but in this case, you don't have to do that. You're just taking a random city, delivering.
We're picking a random city and we're delivering to a random agent inside the city.
Put that on the big, on the text.
Yeah.
The thing with Java is that, again, remember we had this dot, the item dot. That dot is like an apostrophe S. And so this is saying like cities is all of your cities. Cities.random is from that list of cities, give me a random one.
Give me a randomly chosen one, and then you're delivering.
Random, right? City apostrophe S random. And then that person or that cities, so it's like cities is a thing, cities.random is a city, and then cities.random has the access to that delivered to random agent.
Right.
It's kind of sequential.
Yeah, it's sequential. This is actually called the fluent style programming. So we start with some cities. This gives us, we pick a random one that gives us a particular city, and then we deliver one to a random one inside of it. Okay? Okay, great. We're in great shape. Ladies and gentlemen.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Now we're cooking with gas. Who would like this left up a bit longer?
Because you want to do it in 2 steps, like you had it.
Yeah.
With city,
Yep.
city to inoculate.
Yep.
Cities random.
Yep.
When you did the city to inoculate dot deliver to random agent inside,
Yep.
do you have to do something like cities dot or something? Because the city to inoculate is not in main, it's
Good.
city.
good question. That's just a, so I had something like this, city to inoculate, you folks don't have to type this, but equals cities.random. That's just a nice sort of short name to refer to whatever city got returned by this. And then I just say city to inoculate. That's whatever one was returned by this, dot deliver to random agent, to random agent inside. Thank you. And this would be natural exposure. Oh, sorry, forced infection. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
So at the front of that city to inoculate, you don't have to put city dot or something?
No, because it's just the nice name. No, and this gets into your point yesterday, which is really well taken. You know, are we overwriting this? No, this is just a name it's just a brief name. It's kind of like someone comes into my shop and I say, how are you doing, customer? And I give them the name customer just for the duration of the transaction. And then for that, there's that customer name is unbound. It has no specific reference. And then the next person who comes in, I'll call them customer or something like that.
It's a temporary variable.
It wasn't that so much as that it's returned a city. I assume it's a return a city, right?
This is a reference to a city.
It's a reference to a city.
Yeah.
Because you're in Maine, I wasn't sure if you return the reference to the city as it would be given if you were in city, or the reference to the city as it would be if you were in Maine. Because does that make sense?
Yeah, the answer to that is it returns you based on not where you're calling it from, not from where you're calling it, not whence you're calling it, but
good man.
But it's in the statement afterwards, right? So cities.random, that already has all the right labeling, right? So that goes to cities, and it grabs a random one from cities. If you call this function city to inoculate equals such and such from a city, you'd have to go main.cities.random, right? So the call itself, the cities.random, that handles where you're calling it.
Well, here, it might have been helpful if I just said this.city. I mean, this is all in Maine, so I could have said this, my cities. Yeah.
So that city to inoculate now contains a city.
It's a reference to a city.
Right, it's a reference to a city. So if it's a reference to a city inside of a person, or inside of a city, or inside of Maine, it doesn't matter. It's a reference to a city. All the relevant information about where that reference came from is handled on the right-hand side of the equals sign.
It's just a reference to a city, and so because it's a reference, you can ask it to do various things. You could ask it, your population, city I could ask it population size, right? Population size. I could ask it city population, about its city population. I could ask it for
anything you can ask of a city.
Anything I can ask of a city. So it doesn't actually matter whence it came. It's just, this is a reference to a city. Once I have that, it doesn't matter whence it came. Its history is irrelevant. It's just a reference to a city, and it is all the rights and privileges of a reference to a city. So I can ask it anything I can ask of a city, I can ask of this thing. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, I thought it was returning the city, not a reference.
It's a reference to a city. It's saying it's that city. And then I could say, hey, what about, what's your size? Or what fraction of your people are infected? Or what was the last time someone was infected in you? I can ask it all sorts of questions. But it's actually not a city itself, it's a reference to a city. Does that help? Coming along. Okay. I actually have lectures on this, which might be helpful because you're asking deeper questions, and I have lectures on that of Java for any logic users, which might help. Okay, explain this notion of references, and you could have two different references pointing to the same city and ask, are they the same city? That sort of thing. But some of the TAs could also help a great deal. because you're getting to the heart of certain things, and if you could just break through that, I think it's going to be much, much easier. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we should be able to start. Natural infection. It should be called natural exposure. It used to be called natural infection, and then I stood corrected. Okay. Okay. We still have one more thing to do, ladies and gentlemen. One more thing that separates us from glory, and that is we need to have colors so we can recognize them changing. Because without that, we can't see what's going on. Important lesson. Visualization can clue you in a big way to what's going on. So you've done this many times before. It stands before you. How am I going to introduce colors so that they can have different colors when they progress through these levels? Create a color, indeed. A color variable. And how will it be spelled? Will it be according to the dictate of the American Imperium? Good. Okay. Good. I admire your conviction. Okay, that's great. With the U, and its initial color will be black, and we'll know if it. Note that this is the initial value. It's not the default value. It's the initial value. So it should, in theory, never occur. It should always be overridden. So I created color variable. It's of type other, because it's not one of these types listed here, and I just gave its type as color. Capital COLR. Okay? Okay. And its initial value is black. Okay? Are we ready for this? Yeah, this should be a variable, because it's going to be changing over time. It's not an assumption about the person, it's changing over time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you now to impose, for the first one, lime. Okay, you want it to be green?
I like lime.
Okay, thank you for humoring me. Okay, lime. Okay, the exposed, I'm going to request yellow. And hence it can remain unchanged. For infective, it will be red. And recovered will be magenta. Magenta. Okay. Magenta.
The bottom of the.
Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, yeah. Okay, that color. Yes, indeed. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we just changed these colors on the states. Will that actually change the underlying colors that will be shown? No. What do we need to do? We need to change the variable, right? And then we're going to need to link the variable up to the shape. Okay, so how are we going to change the variable? This dot color equals lime. I know, you cringe perhaps. For exposed, this dot color equals yellow. For infective, this dot color equals red. Okay, and for recovered, this dot color equals magenta. I didn't know what color magenta was until one of my students in a boot camp a few months ago told me it looks great in magenta. And I said, oh, what color is that? And then I went and saw it. And I agree. It looks pretty good.
You should use Peru. It's such a calming little color.
Okay, lime, yellow, red, magenta. In each case, we're assigning to what? Yes, this dot color. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go and make that color operational. How do we do that? Whither do we go? Shape body, indeed. Now, some of you will reach the shape body by frobbing, but my own preference is to go over to person, go down to presentation, and reach it in a more defined fashion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, shape body. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Nate, maybe I'll just let you know. I don't think frobbing is a word here.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it is. It means pulsing heavily.
Fancy.
I think in this company wouldn't tell you what most people think is throbbing. You can have a throbbing.
Frobbing. That's the word, frobbing.
Throbbing. Which makes it even.
This is terrible.
So I would define frobbing. I think it's a U.S.
No, it's not a U.S. thing. It's an MIT thing.
Okay, that's.
You go frob the knob a bit.
It's a subset.
Just go frob it, and you can get it to work.
Yeah, go poke around.
Bang it?
Yeah, kind of poke, tweak it, adjust it. It's a little bit less specific than tweak and a bit.
The
Go play with it.
Australian version is kick it.
Okay. Okay, yeah. We heard where that went awry with the piano the other day, but yeah, it's so yeah. Well,
You know what the Google definition is?
what?
It's to spend excessive time on a computer surfing the net or otherwise investigating something of little consequence. And they actually reference MIT in the subject.
Which makes me feel that you've walked away with the incorrect answer.
No. Look online in the Hacker's
It's
Dictionary.
just to satisfy your curiosity. And
No.
then there are a number of much ruder definitions.
Go look in the Hacker's Dictionary online. That's the original definition, and you will be enlightened.
What is actually funny?
I see, I don't think
It
anyone would
means
look
to
at that.
manipulate equipment without any knowledge.
Okay, well, I persist in my habits. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's go to shape body, and what do we frob in shape body in order to change the fill color? Yeah, we have to change. We have to change it to be a dynamic variable. And what is the dynamic variable? This color. The web wasn't invented until till about 1993, 94. So how could it have been surfing the web in the 70s? It seems unlikely.
You know, actually, though, relative to the other definitions I found, you might want to stick with that.
Okay, so we're going to run this thing now? Okay, who needs me to show something else, though?
Does it work? Sometimes that happens.
I didn't see any software change.
Everyone's just green.
Okay,
Yeah, everyone's going.
yeah, so sometimes it will die out and they'll stay green, and like this died out now. Now, the more cities you have, the less likely it will die out in a persistent way.
No, but you have to say it's dependent on migration. You can't just press that.
It depends on migration. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do some experiments.
Well, they never turn it out of color.
Okay, who needs TA help? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are running it, are other people running this? It's moving around? Okay, I'd like you to rename the thing called simulation, call it baseline. And now I'd like you to create another one. Okay, now that's interesting, because I would have expected my baseline to have the default number of cities. Oh, okay. So my baseline, I had overridden the number of cities. Make sure baseline has all the baseline characteristics. You'll notice here, this is put this in bold. You want to use the baseline value. So put it back to its original value, which should be 10. I don't know why. Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to create a new one with the baseline values because that's incorrectly showing it as changed, even though I changed it back. So I'm going to say baseline 2. And, okay, there we go. Okay.
So when it's bold, it means it's changed.
When it's bold, it means it's changed from the baseline. Okay? So run it with the baseline values first, and let's see what happened. With 10 cities, it tends to persist, I thought, for a while at least. Oh, it died out. Okay.
So, yeah, just change that. So basically, a bunch of different values.
Another thing that kind of keep off the other scenes.
It doesn't spread to others?
It does, but then it just dies in very quickly.
Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, okay, Kurt, could you report on the status from the frontier?
I am in the midst of verifying that they're working.
Okay. 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 Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are running it, I'd like now to create an alternative scenario which involves a shorter duration of latency. It involves just 3 days of latency instead of 3 weeks. Okay? So I'd like you to create, how would you do that? New experiment. Don't frob the old experiment. Create a new experiment, and this will be called short latency. Now you could call it latency 3 days if you want to be a little bit more specific. And here, the duration of latency, instead of being 3 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, will be 3 days. Okay? You should be able to run it. How does it change what's going on? How does it change? Well, on mine, it tends, there's a classic mistake. A classic mistake that I've made. Does anyone notice a pattern here? It should make you very suspicious. It's the same thing every time. What do we need to do? We need to change it to be a random seed, ladies and gentlemen. And the same thing with the baseline. We created the baseline. Let's make sure that's a random seed.
Nate, are the transitions rates or time?
For all of them, they are timeouts. Okay, we're going to have to look why. Okay, so my observation is with the short latency, it tends to die out quite quickly. It'll still spread, and in fact, it spreads very quickly because it's a short latency, but then it tends to die out quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, this short latency, I want to highlight, this is an example of one of those alternatives where we can see how it differs from the baseline because it's highlighted. Do you see that? So we know that this one differed from the baseline only by virtue of the fact that it's highlighted. Okay? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to create an alternative scenario yet, which is short latency, but much faster migration. So in short, instead of moving every 10 years on average, they move every 3. So we're going to create a new experiment. This is going to be called short latency, high mobility. Okay? And once again, we just created that scenario. What do we have to do? Set it to be a random seed. Okay, Dylan and Kurt, can you report from the frontier?
I'm just fixing a model here. I might need a little bit of time here.
Yeah, sure. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if we wanted to change it so that the migration rate was every 3 years instead of every 10. What would we need to do? Yeah, make it divided by 3.0 here. And how are we going to make it short latency? Change it to 3 days instead of 3 weeks. Once again, it highlights here which of these are departures from the baseline. Right?
Is there a way to copy like the
Yeah. You could do copy, and then you can do paste. Make sure this new one, though, you've set it to be random seed.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to copy it, it would copy all those settings,
Yeah.
which is really nice.
Okay, that's very
Yeah, so generally I do that instead.
hard to remember.
Okay, so here's a higher mobility but shorter latency, and you can actually see some evidence that people are moving around. Okay, still tends to die out, or at least a lot of the time. Okay. Okay.
What's it? No.
Yes.
I'm not getting reinfection, so I'm assuming there's something wrong.
I'm not getting reinfection.
And when you've got the exposure, the message transition, it's triggered by a message and the message type is object.
No. The message type, that's a good question. Let's go to the state chart here. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so when that message is received, this message needs to be, well, it's a message on a particular message, natural exposure. Yes, actually, it's true. No.
These are all timeouts.
These are all timeouts. Yeah. Okay. So I've got a proposition. How if someone whose model is not behaving gives it to me to debug in front of the group? Are someone game? Okay. So just so I can record it, could you send me the model via email or give it to me on a thumb drive or something? Alan, do you want to get it on a thumb drive? Or send it, you could arrange for her to send it to me via email? Okay, good. I want people to see how I debug something. Okay, Kurt, could you provide a Krugerian update?
There were a whole bunch of, red.
Red. Is the duration of infection in years or weeks?
That's what we're doing for duration, 7 days.
Thanks a ton. That's great. Okay, excellent. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you might also want to explore some intermediate things, such as with somewhat longer latency. But meanwhile, I'm going to switch over to debug a model that's misbehaving. Okay?